Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Coach Brad, and today is Tuesday, which means going to be some tactical conversations coming right at you. Jon, what up, sir?
How's it going, Brad? We got flopped sets as the theme today.
Oh, wow.
You actually have a good hand today.
Yeah, you forgot how to play flop sets?
Yeah, most of the time either we have nothing and we're trying to figure out how to win the pot, or we have like a very marginal hand and we're trying to figure out if we can call.
Yeah, I would say sets tend to be fairly straightforward in general. So I'm guessing these are not fairly straightforward in general.
Oh, there's a little bit of spice to both of them, but still, I think these are like very commonly occurring situations. Definitely the second one.
All right, cool. Well, with that said, let's just dive into these two flop sets. So you're playing 1K and L, and you're about 107 big blinds effective, and button opens min, and you defend the big blind with sixes. Everything's pretty normal thus far, except kind of an interesting flop. Deuce tray 5 with two hearts. You flop the rare overpair with sixes.
Oh, one thing that I feel like I should say is that this hand was inspired by you. You probably can't see it yet, but when we get deeper into the hand, I think you'll appreciate.
I hope so. We'll see. So, inspiration by me. Villain bets big on the flop. Deuce tray 5. A little interesting that villain bets big, I think, but they have all the sets. They've got all the straights. Got the same amount of those, and they probably have a lot more high equity flush draws.
Yeah. They have
anything to say?
Our overpairs.
Huh?
They have overpairs that beat our overpairs.
Sure. And nothing really to do or say on the flop when you flop an overpair with sixes here. With a gut shot, just check. Starting out with check call. Uh-huh. And I assume villain's a reg.
Yeah, I assume villain's a reg too. I didn't go back to check on the stats, but yeah, I'm fairly certain he's a reg.
Nice.
Oh.
We turn a set. Deuce tray 5 6.
Now what do you do here? Let's play the hand.
I mean, I think like donking feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Although I like during my poker coaching streams, every time I play 400 or 500 hands, there's always one spot where I'm like, feels like donking's good here. Then I inevitably donk and then kind of like hold my breath because I don't know exactly what's going to happen next. But I do think why
does donking feel good here?
Because I don't know that villains. Like, I think the 6 improves more of the big blinds range when they big bet. Because, like, while they do have overpair advantage on the flop, those overpairs typically don't bet the turn. And also, I don't think they're like 4-5 hands or 3-4 hands or pocket fours tend to bet big on the flop. Although they probably do have, like, king 4. Queen 4, maybe Jack 4. So they still maintain some like 4x in their range that wasn't a pair on the flop. But I just intuitively think that you have more 4s. I don't know if that's actually.
I think I have to have more 4s, especially when the button min opens. Like I'm just gonna have all the suited 4s. I'm not folding Jack 4 suited or those sorts of hands that maybe the button doesn't open, right?
4-5 off.
I would have trouble folding 4-5 off to a min open.
Yeah, well, if you've got all like the offsuit 4-5s, then you
Yeah.
probably do have more 4x than villain, because I assume they don't open 4-5 off on the button.
Yeah, and I'm definitely calling 7-4 suited. I assume the button doesn't open that, so yeah.
And we found the donk.
Talk about
we did it
too, I guess.
The size.
Yeah.
You went a third. Seems like that's probably the solver approved size. Would be small. I don't know. I think small is kind of reasonable here with your hand.
Like, kind of the way that I think about sizing here is like, what sorts of hands am I trying to make indifferent towards calling? Like, what type of hands am I trying to put in a toughish spot facing the size? And I think, like, for example, all the
any pair.
Yeah, all the overpairs and then like pairs just call. But I think like this size starts like just like random 7x or 8x that gets bet. It's probably like gonna be forced to call this like basically any gut shot that they have now, because it presumably has overcards. And like, is that the region that I want to put in a tough spot? Basically, is what I think about when I
all their single paired hands, basically.
Yeah.
What's a plan for villain just calling turn and then like blank rivers?
Check
just
call.
Sort of planning ahead, just check call.
Yeah, I think like this size, like I said, it just forces all their like 7x and 8x, or maybe not 8x, but like 7x type hands to call. All the flush draws I think are definitely going to call here, and then likely bluff river by check.
So you think that portion of their range is larger than the overpair portion?
Well, one thing that I'm not sure of is that the overpair portion calls the river bet. And I know for sure that the 4x portion calls the river bet, or like, the range that beats my hand, beats my top set, is going to call.
I would say it almost certainly calls a third, like a small river bet.
Yeah, but I'm also like very certain that they have bluffs on the river when I check.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, just weighing all that stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. So you bet, don't get raised. That's nice.
I don't expect. Do you expect to get raised here ever?
Almost never.
Yeah.
No, like they need to have like. Yeah, I would very rarely expect to get raised. I think. Man, if they have like 7-4 suited, probably they can't help themselves but raise. But
that's a really wide open on the button. Like I'd be surprised if I saw Reg open 7-4 suited on the button. Maybe min is fine. Maybe min with a fish in the small
even
blind,
with
what we have here. Like
even with 7-4 suited, it's kind of hard to raise the turn facing the third donk, because it's like, what bluffs do you have here to, what bluffs do you have here, and then like what are you going to have on the river like to like be able to raise versus a bet on blanks. But maybe they just are protected by enough straights that they can just like raise a 7-4 and then call their other fours and then call the river. But whatever. River's an 8, which is not a... Okay, so they call a third. There's 168 in the pot. The final board is deuce straight 5, 6, 8. There's no flush available. 7-9 complete. 7-8 makes a pair, and 8-9 makes a pair.
front door hearts brick.
And front door hearts brick, yeah. You still going to go through with your plan here, checking the river?
That's what I did. I don't know if that's... I mean, I don't know what the answer is to, like, is it better to bet the river or check the river and check call? Like, I just don't know. Does jacks always call if I bet a third?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would rather check. Like, just... They do have 7-9. I don't know that... we donk 7-9 on the turn. And they for sure have 7-9. They also have, like, the busted hearts. Yeah, I think
really
probably just checking.
With 7-9 once the flop.
Yeah, once they big bet the flop.
Yeah.
It feels like checking is just like gotta be the bet, gotta be the route to take.
Right. Like, I know that check calling is probably. I know that check calling has to be okay. I don't know that betting is
okay.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I go and do. I check the river.
And they overbet.
This is kind of the expected size, right? Like they're betting a 4 or presumably nothing else.
Yeah, 4, 7, 9, or just busted hearts or whatever. Yeah. So pretty easy call, I think.
Not shocked to see the size. Not like extra scared or anything like that.
Yeah, and they've got the old King 7 off. So, I mean, King 7 off. That's a pretty light button open, I think.
That is a very light button open. They probably do have 7-4 suited.
Yeah. If King 7 off is in there, then they probably have 7-4 suited. But the good news is that they've got King 7 off, so that makes up for it. No, I think this is really well thought out, well played hand. I doubt that Villain is going to bet the turn at a high frequency with King 7. If you wouldn't have donked the turn, I assume it just goes check, check, and then you may get a bet on the river if you check and Villain bets, but definitely won the max here from, the weakest portion of the range, which is always a big win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know what happens if I check the turn. Maybe this guy just goes crazy and I win a stack with sixes, but
doubt it. Very, very doubtful. Do you want to win a stack here, John? Is that the goal? Do you want them to put all the money in on the 4-liner? Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so you're gonna flop another set after the break in hand number 2. Stick around. Probably gonna be some spicy things going down.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right. Welcome back from the break. I like, by the way, that hand number 1 was inspired by me donking on a poker coaching play and explain in a spot. Yeah, my exact words, I think, when I led the turn on a 4-liner were, I don't know if donking is good here, but I'm going to do it. This looks like a good spot to donk. Super solid plan in place there.
Your hand was like way more marginal than mine. Mine was like, okay, this has to be okay, at least. I have top set.
Yeah, I just like randomly turned a pair into a bluff and just who knows. Basically inspired by the thought of, I think I have way more straights than the villain. Let's see what happens if I just donk 70%. And for the podcast listener, they folded very quickly, top pair. So my donk did work out. Hand number 2 here, we're playing 1K and L. Shocker of all shockers. We have 100 big blinds effective. Button opens to 2.5x, and John defends with the old deuces from the big blind.
I love flopping sets with deuces. I don't know what it is. It's just...
Is there a pair that you flop a set and like you don't love it?
Aces.
Okay.
Like, I didn't need this,
Good
dude.
point.
I didn't need this. Please. Like, save these up for when I have deuces. Don't blow it here. Like, now how am I supposed to get value? Like,
this is not the time.
Yeah,
this is not the time.
Jacks.
So flop is 9-5 deuce, 2 diamonds. You check. Villain bets big.
Yay!
Hooray! What's the plan?
Probably just check raise and get stacks in. I think big betting here from the big blind is, or sorry, from the button is very, very reasonable. I think it's pretty, it's a kind of like a normal flop, an expected flop for regs to have like a big bet check strategy. I think their big bets are going to have sets, over pairs, strong 9x, flush draws, combo draws, that kind of stuff. And
yeah, they have like all the good hands,
Yeah.
and we have very few good hands.
Yep.
No 9-5, no 5 deuce, just fives and deuces, no nines. So really just 6 combos of like top end value.
Yeah. And yeah.
So you go ahead and put in a big check raise to 169, and villain calls. Again, probably not super expected.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, just get the money in.
Uh
And that sound for the podcast listener of John's uncomfortable squeal is the ace of diamonds on the turn. So the flop was 9-7 deuce with the 9 deuce of diamonds. The turn is the ace of diamonds, which is quite the card. Quite the card for your check raise range.
So now I have like 0 bluffs.
No, maybe 7-8, 8-9, 6-8.
6-4, something like that.
Yeah, if you...
Yeah, got some gutters still.
Yeah. I mean, 6-4 is a double gutter, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not.
No, it's close. It's a gutter with a 3 straight up top, so it may as well be a double gutter. I mean, I'm guessing on this card, like, you're probably going to bet a third.
What should you do? What do you think you should do in these spots? Just like, maybe we can just talk like theory-wise. You just
I mean,
play like this whole hand. Like you bet a third here with bottom set, get called on the river. You just check calling, you check folding. Are you betting the river? Probably not.
I think probably just betting a third and then checking a bunch. If villain calls, like, so the problem is, like, I don't like structuring my strategy where, like, check raise flop and then check turn. And the problem is that we don't have a lot of flushes. Villains just play very, very, very well versus check raise check on this flush completer. You have very few bluffs. So, like, a third just seems the way to go. You can easily get called by worse, over pairs with a diamond,
Right.
ace
Like,
4, ace 3.
Those are the hands that I'm targeting with like the 1/3 on the turn would be like, yeah, exactly those types of hands. Over pairs with a diamond and then like ace X. Like hands that are worse than mine, but that never bet the turn, but will call a bet.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would be my plan, is to bet a third. I wouldn't want to split my range by checking, and then having like some, yeah, I just think it's really difficult to manage.
So you would bet a third here and then split your range on the river, like jam flushes and.
It's kind of, I don't know if I jam flushes or not. I think we need to maintain some strong hands, and like once we bet a third and then check the river. So I think like some portion of my flushes are going to be checking. I mean, the board could always pair on the river too, like after we bet a third, which gives us boats in our range as well, and I think that's pretty nice. So yeah, I would just bet the turn and then play rivers accordingly and kind of figure it out once I make it to that node.
Yeah.
All right, we bet the third.
Good start.
Good start, and villain calls. So everything's progressing according to plan. River's a king of hearts. Maybe not the greatest of rivers. Things are.
I mean, it's definitely not one of the ones I was like hoping for, like because it presumably improves kings with the king of diamonds.
Yeah,
type hands.
makes it. Yeah, I mean,
maybe just
you
all
just
kings.
basically have to check, right? Like, there's no other option besides checking the river.
Yeah, but then what do you do facing jam with like deuces or fives or
I don't know.
even like 3-4?
I'm not sure. I mean, but I don't really have a good alternative strategy here as it relates to facing jam. Like I said on the turn, I would check some flushes.
Right.
So at least know that I do have some flushes in my checking range on the river that I get to call with. But yeah, it's kind of dicey. I mean, the reality is though, if they jam, they got to be turning a pair into a bluff, right? Like,
Yeah, tens with a diamond, jacks with a diamond, queens with a diamond.
right, that's 9 combos that they can effectively turn into a bluff. I mean, do they do it all the time? Feels fairly unlikely. Like, they're going to check back at some frequency, I just have to imagine, with like jacks, queens, or kings, or tens, jacks, or queens. So
don't feel too bad about folding non-flushes here.
I mean, I feel bad about it. Let's not. It's not going to make me feel great. I'm definitely going to go in my tank. But I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I just probably have to fold. I think they have too many flushes. They've got too many sets.
And they don't
I mean, just with aces and kings, that's 6 combos, and we just counted 9 combos of potential hands that they might bluff with. They can't even have ace king of hearts now that we beat. It's hard for them to value cut themselves. Yeah, I think just folding deuces is probably reasonable, and then call with
the flushes
maybe your straights. Maybe.
Deuces and straights are like, in my mind, that's like the same thing. Like if we're getting jammed.
Well, you beat aces and kings. The 6 combos of like aces and kings, I think that's pretty important.
Okay.
When we're working with such few combos.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, they just let you off the hook and check behind. Well, they check behind a set of 5s. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that you shouldn't call the all-in.
With deuces.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't call the all-in with deuces if you're checking 5s.
Man. I don't know if that's necessarily what that means. Like,
yeah, I guess it could mean that like they over bluff when they do jams since they're checking back such strong hands. Kind of an interesting check by them, huh?
It's an interesting spot for him too.
Yeah, very interesting. Very
especially if they think that we could be checking some flushes on the river or straights.
And they have to ask themselves, do they call all in with a worse set?
Yeah.
I mean, presumably you're going to fold deuces.
Yeah.
Right. So really quite a nice check back by them. I think that's quite a disciplined check, even though I'm sure when they check back and you had deuces, they were very tilted. They were quite annoyed. But I think it's just a really good play by them.
Thanks for the ace of diamonds, stupid sight. Like, stop me from stacking this guy.
So rigged. How do you feel about their no bet 3-bet on the flop? Like, I guess maybe they shouldn't have a bet 3-bet range.
Okay, so I think it's reasonable, like, to just like not have a bet 3-bet range in this spot. But exploitatively, I think you should have a bet 3-bet range, because the check raise range on 9-5 deuce when you have 5s and the other person doesn't have 9s is deuces and combo draws, I think, or just
maybe draws. But combo draws, like a lot of the hands that are combo draws 3-bet pre, facing a min open in the big blind, 6, 7, 7, 8 of diamonds.
I think that the downside is like not letting like 6, 7 of hearts barrel off, right? Like maybe 6, 7 of hearts folds if you bet 3-bet, and like that could just go like check raise bet or something like that.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I just think that there's maybe on this board when maybe like top set is like a better bet 3-bet because it allows the big blind to have middle and bottom set. That you're just going to stack off with and all the combo draws. But yeah, I think bet 3-betting these types of boards when you get check raises is
it's an option.
That'll be our next video if I can flop a set in position. Check raise.
If you can flop set over set and bet 3-bet somebody on a board like this, we'll see what happens. No, I think this is a well played hand by both players involved.
If I did bet, let's say I bet the river small for some reason, and you're on the button with 5s, would you raise ever? Probably not, right?
I doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm only asking because I was in this exact same situation 2 days ago. I was on the button with top set. The guy flopped bottom set. Everything got there like it did in this hand, and the guy went small. He check raised the flop, small bet the turn, and then small bet the river, and I didn't jam.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Flipped over bottom set, and I just like probably had the same feeling this guy did, where you probably played the hand well, but it feels terrible when you see that, like, wow, I could have just gotten it in on the flop and won a stack.
Fade the ace of diamonds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same, like the inverse of this is they have 6, 7 of hearts, and the turn's like a jack of clubs, and somehow you end up stacking them, and you never question as to whether or not you should flat the check raise or bet 3-bet because they just bomb off with a low equity hand.
Yeah.
Well played, sir. 2 well played hands. This is gonna do it for today's today's episode, we have a record of well-played hands consecutively on Tactical Tuesday.
We're
starting
one of those. We should, those signs that they have in like workplaces where it's like days without accident or like days without incident. Yeah, we should have one of those. Days without a punt.
Yeah, episodes of Tactical Tuesday without a punt. 1.
We'll try to make it 2. See you next week, guys.
Yep. Stick around next week. See if we can make it 2 in a row.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter. Join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.